that, or you just don't have any questions for it. So next question up. If two people are unsaved and one gets saved and the other one doesn't, can they still have a viable marriage? Okay, I'm going to read it again. If two people are unsaved and then one gets saved but the other does not, can they still have a viable marriage? Now, some of y'all living this right now. Some of y'all are living this right now. The question was a little ambiguous for the introduction into it, because I don't know if these two people are going to get married or if they're married already. So I'm going to assume, for the sake of this conversation, that they're married already. Maybe getting married. Married already? Getting married? Either way it goes. If one is saved and one is not saved, can they have a viable marriage? I was going to take a poll. You know how we like to raise our hands and whatnot, but I think I'll leave that one alone. I don't want nobody meet nobody in the parking lot. So I've seen this play out all my life. I'm sure you have it as well, Dad. I've seen this, Pastor Stackhouse. What you do is directly tied to what you believe. Yes. What you do is directly tied to what you believe, because your beliefs influence your actions. So what you do is directly tied to what you believe. So if you believe in God, it will affect your decisions to one degree or another. If you do not believe in God, it will affect your decisions to one degree or another. So when we are going into a relationship, there are some things that we ought to have some commonality on. Hopefully, one of those things we have a commonality on is our religion, because what you believe will ultimately affect what you do. Now, I got some statistics about marriage and things of that nature that we're going to get into. But do you know conflict arises when beliefs aren't the same? Let's put religion on the table for a moment and just have a conversation about beliefs. Most of the conflicts we have are because we have a difference in what we believe. You believe one thing, your spouse believes another, and that's where the conflict rises, right? You believe you ought to leave at 6 o'clock in order to get there. They believe you can leave at 6:30 and get there. Those two beliefs, you see what I'm saying? Your beliefs are always directly tied to your conflict. If you are, and ultimately because you believe you're right, then you believe the other person is wrong. One of the things about the internet, when it comes to belief and all that kind of stuff, people will argue about anything. I did not know people's beliefs were so, and I'm not even talking about religion yet. Just people believe anything. They believe the earth is flat. I'm trying to think of some other stuff that people believe. That's what's some other stuff that people believe? Oh, that earth is hell. That we're all living in a simulation. Anybody ever heard that one? Y'all never heard this one? That none of this is real. We're all in a computer program. Yeah, varying stages of reality. People believe in all kind of stuff, y'all. And when you believe it, you begin to base your actions on what you believe. So if you believe God is real, and somebody else does not believe God is real, ultimately those beliefs are going to start to clash when it is time to make decisions. And if one person doesn't believe and one person does believe, eventually you are going to be tolerating one another. Like, I don't believe that, but it's fine if you do. And who wants to be tolerated? After a while, toleration bursts irritation. Irritation then bursts resentment. Resentment then bursts schisms. Schisms then birth, evacuation. So I'm not saying it cannot work, because once again, some of you are living it right now, and you're finding a way to navigate through it and things of that nature. So let me give you a scripture that we can continue this conversation with. 2 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 14. 2 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 14. 2 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 14. I always try to say a scripture at least 3 times. That's what my father taught me when I was 14. That you always say a scripture at least 3 times. So preachers, don't be in such a rush that when you, ministers, don't be in such a rush when you give a scripture, you don't give people a chance to find it, because without the scripture, that's the foundational piece of everything that we're doing. You're not so interesting that you can just talk without giving scripture to be the foundation of what you're talking about. So 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14, this is what it says: do not be mismatched with unbelievers. For what partnership is there between righteousness and lawlessness? Or what fellowship is there between light and darkness? All right, I don't want to break down the light and the darkness, things of that nature, but let's just look at that part where it says, how y'all gonna walk together? You believe in righteousness, they believe in lawlessness. Because righteousness gives you your guidelines. The righteousness of God shows you and tells us how we should live, how we should operate, the things we should accept, the things we should not accept, things we should do, the things we should not do. It gives us our path. It gives us our direction. And if somebody you are with don't follow those same rules, it's going to cause some conflict. How many of y'all know marriage is hard enough anyway? Marriage is hard enough anyway. And then you add another element that can make it even more difficult. So if you can, my recommendation is, if you already saved and you're single, try to find somebody else that is. That don't mean they're not gonna be crazy. It's plenty of crazy saved people. I'm looking at a lot of them right now. You're like, who is he talking about? Is he talking about me? Yeah, I'm talking about you. Yeah. Y'all don't know you crazy? Y'all don't? You do know the crazy people are the ones that can't admit they're crazy, right? You do, so everybody got an element of, everybody got a little element of, you didn't know that? Everybody got at least a little pinch. Not a pinch, a pinch. Everybody got a little pinch of crazy. And to know that about yourself is to mean, Lord, you get to say, all right, Lord, I need some help in those areas. So it's good to know yourself that way. But in 2 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 14, it says, don't be mismatched. In King James Version, it says to be equally yoked. This is old school language talking about oxen. Oxen will go out into a field, and the best way to have oxen set up to plow a field was to have 2 of them. And the yoke is what they will put on the oxen in order to pull the plow. And the yoke was also what the farmer would use to guide the oxen. But if you had one ox that wanted to do work and another ox that wanted to play around, one ox would end up doing all of the work. And eventually the ox doing all the work would wear out because they were pulling all by themselves. Or one ox could be focused on what the farmer wanted, and another ox looking in another direction, which once again means one would be looking in the proper direction, the other be looking in another direction. So that's why it should be equally yoked. Because if you're both yoked by the Lord, that means you're supposed to have the same goals, the same direction. Now, does that mean marriage won't be hard? No, but it still means y'all at least working towards the same goal. We don't have to be the same, but we got to be similar. We got to have similar goals. We got to have similar objectives for our family. We got to have similar objectives for our relationship. We don't have to be the same because you're going to be different and I'm going to be different, but we need to be equally yoked, and you being saved and me being saved helps with that. Okay. Last thing I want to cover this. So does that mean that Christians don't get divorced at the same rate? What y'all think? You think we get, all right, everybody say Christians get divorced at a higher rate. Raise your hand. Somebody's going to be right, somebody's going to be wrong. I'm going to tell you that on this one. Now everybody thinks that Christians get divorced at similar rate. Raise your hand. All right, cool. Everybody that thinks Christians get divorced at a lesser rate of non-believers, raise your hand. Wrong. All this time we've been here and we get divorced at the same rate? No, we don't. Christians actually do get divorced at a smaller rate. Yeah, I looked it up. I looked at the research. Any of y'all want to fact check me? Feel free. Yeah, good news, isn't it? I ain't saying it's way lower. Now, I ain't saying it's way lower, but it is lower. According to the Pew Research, Christians get divorced at a slightly lower rate. So we can't stick our chest out too much, be too proud, but we do get divorced at a low rate. I got a theory on that. The leading causes for divorce for Christians, y'all know what they are? Same as the world. Infidelity, communication problems, substance abuse, financial stressors, and unresolved prior conflicts. The exact same for non-Christians. But it is at a slightly lesser rate. The Pew Research, they broke it down into a multitude of categories. In Christians getting divorced, they were not Christians, but religious people, which includes Buddhists, Jewish, Catholic, Muslims, and then it went into Christians and broke that down into subcategories. Catholic, Protestant, and then it went into Protestant and broke that down into categories. So because like I told you last time, Protestant is a really big category. And of all of the religions in America, Protestant had the highest rate of divorce. So when you hear we get divorced at at just the same rate, that's the Protestants, that's us, y'all. We the Protestants. If you want a history of that, go back to my last Bible study. I break the whole thing down. So but they looked at that even closer. See, and I'm building my case towards something because I want you to understand something. Let me see. The Pew Research study found Protestant individuals, anyone who identified themselves as non-Catholic but Christian. That's Protestant. Anybody that identifies themselves as non-Catholic but Christian, that's Protestant, includes 74% of all Christians and had a divorce rate of approximately 51%. That's the same as non-Christians. Out of a sampling of 4,752 individuals. This is the interesting part I wanted to get to, and this will be the last thing that we discuss, and then we'll go. However, when you look at that Protestant category of 51% and you break it down more, the highest rate of divorce amongst those Christians are evangelical Protestants. That ain't us. We all know who the evangelicals are. That's the white Christians. I ain't being racist. I'm just stating facts. So they have the highest rate. Guess who had the lowest? Nobody want to guess? No, this is in the Protestant. Guess who had the lowest? The historically black Protestants. Y'all know who that is? Interesting, isn't it? See, when you now don't just take these statistics, but when you actually look at these statistics and get into the statistics, so very interesting. I did not know that. That was news to me. So that's why I took a little time to share that news with you. So when people are like, Christians get divorced at just as high as everybody else. No, we don't. It's a little lower. So we still, there ain't nothing to be proud of. But the fact is, no, we don't. And if you're a black Christian, it goes down even more. Just good facts for you to know. Just good facts for you to know in Bible study. Just some good things for you to know for the next time you begin to contemplate these things. All right, and I don't have any time for any more questions, so everybody stand to your feet. We'll make our way out.